Hey boardies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today we're going to do a setup, play and review for the game Tiny Epic Dinosaurs. In this instance, it's the Deluxe Edition, which does have a separate entry on the website Board Game Geek. So as you can see, the game, I've normally do a complete setup, literally taking it out of the box. As you can see, the tiny little pieces, yes, it is a Tiny Epic game. It does take a bit of time, it is a bit fiddly. But what we'll be doing is taking these four larger sheets, and depending on the amount of player counts you're doing, you're going to have A, B, C, D laid out here. This is a worker placement game where you're laying out different areas, and what you're trying to do is ultimately get the most points in a game that takes an hour. I'd say it's a bit longer than that, closer to 2 hours at least for your first play. You might get it down to maybe 90 minutes, at least as a 3. So what are you going to have here? You're going to have some research cards. You're going to shuffle and leave those out here. What you'll be revealing is you're going to be revealing 3 cards. 3 cards if you happen to be playing as, for example, a 3-player game. If you happen to be playing and a different player count, there's some other things that do vary things. Everybody will be taking some cards. These are private cards. These are objective cards. So you're going to shuffle these up, and 2 per player. You're going to look at them and keep 1 of them. I'll talk to you about in a moment. But what we're trying to do here is actually this is almost identical to what I had before. You're trying to return 2 of these Stegosauruses or Stegosauri, 1 Velociraptor and 1 Brachiosaurus, for example. Over here we have obviously 2, 1, and in this case we have an Allosaurus. So trying to do one of these, you can discard one. So one of them's going to go face up and out this side of the game. And what we'll do is just for this 4K recording, leave this over here. So aside from that, I do have another light shining, so apologies if that's in the way. So that's going to be what I'm secretly working towards. You're all going to have a player board. They're all going to look slightly differently. You can choose either side, and you're trying to enclose your dinosaurs. This is very much a reskin of many Uwe Rosenberg games, such as Cave vs. Cave, Agricola, Fields of Valor, that kind of stuff, and many of those videos you can check on my channel, including a playlist I actually have for Uwe Rosenberg. So what can you do in your turn? Well, what I'm doing over here is you have 4 different colours, 4 different people can play in this 1 to 4 player game by Scott Olms, and numerous other games by him, such as Cosmic Colonies, including the Monumental expansion in edition, and mini expansions are available on the channel too. So in this case, what you're going to be doing is you're going to start off with 3 workers and a large worker. You also have an extra worker, which you place on round 4. You have your starting player marker, which in this case states, I love dinos. That starts on round 1. You're going to start to see who starts. So like the last game, I happen to start as well. And you're also going to have, like I said, the public objectives to work towards. For now, I'll just leave them at the top here. So 1, 2, 3, 3. Remember, if you're playing as a 2-player, because it's 2 plus 1. So there you go, set up like this. So what do you want to do? Well, you could go over here. This is free-range dinos. Yes, like the chicken. You can go over here. In this case, you're trying to get a Stegosaurus. Maybe because you're trying to complete these contracts. Maybe because your private one has them on here too. And if you want to complete a private contract, you've got to be able to complete a public one as well. You can just complete a public on their own, otherwise you will need to complete one on the same turn as well to complete a private one. So let's say I want to go here. What I can do is I roll a die and try to actually capture it. I've captured it, no special benefit. I am now getting myself a Stegosaurus. What you're going to do is stick it in your holding area. This down here, hopefully you can read it. Okay, please do zoom in. This is your holding area. You're going to place it here. Now, if you could roll these other ones. You have a 1 in 3 chance of catching it normal. You might get scratched. Sorry, 1 in 2, so 50%. You could get scratched, which means you're going to the medical bay. If you're going there, obviously for my colour, they're going to go medical bay. You'll get it back at the end of the round, but it means someone else can now go here. Presently, if anybody else wants to catch this particular dinosaur, they're going to have to chuck in 2 of their people, 2 of their ranchers. Or they can use their big rancher, which is the equivalent of 3. So that's that done. Instead, you could choose to spend a crate. So you can all start off with some crate magic. And in this case, you could just spend 1 of them to get any of those types. Moving on, you can get contracts. So you can choose to fulfill a contract. And, you can choose to take a contract. So over here is where you're taking it. And when you take it, you can complete it straight away. In this case, you can do the same action, but it's going to cost you a resource as well. Hence, turn order is better to go here. Over here, you can choose to enclose your dinosaurs. Here's some enclosures, and initially they're going to go in your holding area. You'll get 1 in a crate. We can see the benefit of a crate. Here, you spend a crate to get 2, get 1, first player marker, and in this instance, you can actually rearrange things as well. Anything else which I've covered off, which I happen to make a mistake on, please check the comments and description, particularly on YouTube, because I'm not a machine. Hopefully you find this enthusiastic, and I do hopefully don't make human errors more than anyone else. such as leaving the fence panels locked. I was going to talk about Jurassic Park there. Okay, over here we have barriers as well, other things you can be choosing to do. Down here you can spend some plant food and some meat food to draw cards. I never chose any of these ones. For example, down here, as I said, it's a tiny epic game, so it's a tiny writing. Gain 1 resource of your choice anytime you require a research card. So that's something you can choose to do, etc. I'll let you discover the rest. But you could be drawing 3 cards and picking something here. Tyrannosaurus Rex Carnivore, it's going to cost you 3 meat. And during the stage 5 phase, it's a 6-round game of which they're broken down into 7 phases, which I'll talk about in a bit. You may choose to feed Tyrannosaurus Rex any regular dinosaur from your ranch instead of 3. So you can choose to feed other dinosaurs to it. You have a breeding center. If you have only one single regular dinosaur of one species, you may pay a crate that a newborn dinosaur to that species. So various things and various victory points scored at the end. Over here, you can actually have resources. So this is a place to pick up those resources. We've seen where resources can be of use. So in this case, you can go here to get one of each of the 3 main types. Over here, you can do different things as well. You can actually spend a dinosaur to actually get more cards again. So different ways you can do stuff. And let's talk about these phases. So the first one is to gain resource collection. So any space that you have unoccupied, so right at the beginning of the game, you're gaining yourself a crate. I'm gaining myself 3 meat. So it's the same for everybody else. You're taking yourself 3 meat. So meat looks like this. You get 1, 2, 3. And in this case, I get 5 plants. So that's that done. We then move on to the signing ranches, which we just talked about. So placing out 3 in a big one, up to round 4. And then in round 4, you're placing an extra one as well. You're then retrieving them, so they're going to come back. You're then arranging your ranch. So I've got my piece here. I could choose to stick it there, and I could choose to stick in my Stegosaurus in there. Breeding, if I happen to have enough enclosures and I was able to do this, then they're going to breed. So it's going to produce an extra one, and it can be enclosed again because this encloses it, water encloses it, mountain encloses it. Anything with a dotted line, hopefully I'll pick up another one and show you. Anything with a dotted line is going to run off that direction. So you need to try and close it there. So try and enclose them whenever you wish to. You can rearrange them when it's in this phase as well. And then of course I've just spoken about breeding, but before you breed, you feed. So let's say I only had 2 at that moment. You are needing to feed them based on their costs on the left here, sorry, on the right. So in this instance, you are feeding them just a single plant each. Same for Velociraptor, but single meat. But Brachiosaurus need 2 leaves, and Allosaurus is going to need 2 meat, and whatever else you have as special abilities. Special abilities such as this guy, the Triceratops, a unique dinosaur, which you can try and find over here, which isn't this one, but as an example. At the end of the game, gain an additional point for each dinosaur orthogonally adjacent to the Triceratops base. As you can see, it's worth 4. So that is the feed stage. We talked about breeding, refresh for next round. So drawing out more cards, you're making sure you have enough of these available, and then you go back to the start. So you're going to gain resources. So you're going to gain 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 leaves. You're going to gain yourself 2 meat, and then you're going to start assigning things again. Now, as the game changes, people are going to start competing for different things. People are able to start completing more of these contracts, including a private one. So watch out for that potentially. It does take a while to complete these private contracts, and it's something to be aware of. And yeah, let's start talking about the game as I start packing it away. So it is a Tiny Epic game. It does fit in the Tiny Epic box. I have played other games in the Tiny Epic series, and I have played Heroes of Land, Air and Sea, which is a very different, huge, massive box game, which is completely different. So there are small pieces. It is a bit fiddly, but not too bad. I won't be talking to you about the mini expansion, the laboratory, but I look forward to obviously talking to you about that in due course. Cards do fit well on the table. It has a nice kind of table presence. There is a bit of a downtime when you're playing at a player count higher than 2 though, waiting, because there's not too much interaction other than people taking various things. And there's also other things that you need to be aware of, such as making sure you're able to feed things, making sure that you can read the stuff on the cards. And if you cannot feed them, for example, they're going to break down a barrier because they get angry. Or in the case of a carnivore, it's going to eat something. So it's something to be aware of. And yeah, it's a higher than average rating for me. It's a 7.2, something like that. That's partially because I think there's a bit of downtime, as I said, at that higher player count. I think also that the fiddliness of the pieces isn't terrible, but the fact is, to get everything in a tiny box, what you have to be aware of is things can move around a bit on your boards. It's not terrible in terms of that. It's just, very thin pieces to make it work. Always impressed with how small these things can be. It's really impressive. And as you can see, things do fit very nicely together. I like the artwork very much, very cute and cutesy. I like the theme very much. I think it works very well in that respect as well. Thinking about how you can handle things out, the idea of food and meat and feeding and breeding, it's all very logical. I love the names for the different cards. I think the card size is fine. I know people call them Hobbit-sized cards. What else? Well, whilst I'm still packing away, if anything else comes to mind, I mean, that has been very luck dependent. Someone rolled 7 scratches, so they were very unlucky. They still got their dinosaur, but yeah, it just led the way for someone else to maybe go into that space. And they did happen to come last. I don't know if that was a big factor. I wouldn't have said so. It is a minor point. There is some competition, obviously, for space. As a 3, that's more than, say, a 2. But it didn't feel like there was a huge need and a rush to worry about that. So that was good. Despite the size of these tiny dinosaurs, they're immaculately detailed. It is incredible. They are gorgeous to look at. And remember, this is the Deluxe Edition. So this will be on the Deluxe video page. But yeah, this will be in the How to Set Up Play and Review playlist. It's going to be in, I'm trying to think if there might be some other playlists I might stick it in as well. Could have come with more bags. That's another factor. Look forward to bringing you more videos in the Tiny Epic series. There's other ones, such as Defenders, already on the channel. Tiny Epic Zombies, I think it'll be next up. There also might be Tiny Epic Kingdoms, Tiny Epic Pirates, even unboxing for this video as well. Aside from that, there's dice distancing, so there's a playlist for that. Because of that die, we are going to see how far dice roll and whether or not you might do dice trace. That's coming along. Please let me know in your comments and descriptions your thoughts. And also, if you do wish to, you can follow on Instagram. There's over 2,300 photos or posts over there presently, and more on the way. And yep, you can, by all means, if you follow on, that'd be fantastic. If you haven't already, like I said, subscribe and hit the notification bell here on YouTube. And also, there are occasionally giveaways. So if you are interested, you can go through his Linktree, and occasionally there are new giveaways that come along. So they might find something there for you to get involved with. There's also Facebook, so you can support the channel and chat there. It's a great place where other people are there. There's hundreds of people presently over there and yeah, nattering away. There's various events that I'll be at as well. And again, if you haven't liked and shared, please do so for this particular video. So lots more videos coming. That has been a video daily for 2 years now. And I look forward to speaking to you about other things as they come along. Like I said, there's not many baggies. So if you want to make sure you separate stuff out, it can take a good 8 odd minutes to do so. Do you have a favourite? Is there a favourite Tiny Epic that you're aware of? I've heard Tiny Epic Vikings is the most recent one. And like I said, we'll leave this packed away. And let's just say, let's do that weighing straight away. So stick this over here. Put that on top. It doesn't actually seem to be needed anymore, that thing. We can put the die on top and actually see how much that weighs. So 308 grams. Now that's all done and back to the table.